me, Geordie Pete Redding on a Soccer Saturday, a musical edition of Soccer Saturday today. Today's guest is alumni of Northumbria Uni, as one of the finest voices in the business, was brought up in Nigeria and UK, which gave him inspiration for an album called Diamond in a Rock. He worked in the tune, had a monumental hit about the ocean, and is set to headline at Giants of Soul. We're going to find out who's in the house very soon with Hollywood Balls on Soccer Saturday.
Connect. Can you hear me, Tunde?
I can hear you.
Well, listen, sometimes these things happen.
This is live.
Well, listen, how you been anyway, Tunde? You been well?
I've been very well, thank you. Considering everything that's transpired over the last couple of years, yes.
Yeah, and the family, everybody okay?
Everybody's fine. And yourself?
Yeah, everybody's fine for me. Had a couple of deaths in the family, etc. But
sorry to hear that.
Listen, you know, these things happen, you know, but we've got to look at the positives. We've got the memories.
Yes.
And, you know, listen, we grind on. We've got children now. We're the elders now.
We're the elders. We're the elders. That's true. That's true.
We're the elders now. So we got to represent.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Pete, I'm sure Pete will be back in. So, Giants of Soul, you're the main man.
Oh, man. That, honestly, I have to say, like, you know, we were just talking about that, like the COVID situation. And that came, it just shut everything down, didn't it, for everybody? Yeah. Like, and I remember at the time we just finished our second UK tour, Lighthouse Family, and we were due to go to South Africa, and then that happened. So the South Africa trip was cancelled just at the last second.
Yeah.
And then I remember our manager came and said, "Oh, you know, this was after a couple of weeks." He said, "Look, it's not looking good, guys. Like, it looks like everything we have to do might have to be rescheduled for like 2 years." And you know what? When he said that to me, I thought, you've got to be joking. Are you, like 2 years? But it's happened to be the case. I mean,
it's gone
gone like that.
Yeah.
So when they approached us for this Giants of Soul thing, honestly, it was such a relief to actually just the idea that somebody actually even wants me to come and perform and sing was like such a big thing. And I just liked that. I looked at the roster and I thought, oh my God, it's got, these people are like huge artists.
Yeah.
You know, Dennis Williams, Alexander O'Neill. I think he was involved in music before I even knew I was going to be involved.
Yes. Yeah.
And I mean, and I say that respectfully, you know. Jackie Graham. I love Jackie Graham. I've never met her, but everybody I bump into, when I tell them I'm doing this, I say, "Oh, Jackie Graham." They go, "Oh, she's such a nice person." So I'm really looking forward to like meeting all of them. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's one of those that it's like it's gonna be like a sort of a, what do you call it? Like it's in a theater. It's a theater environment, but it's got the sort of like festival vibe about it,
right?
Because of the roster of artists you have.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, for like you say, for us, the I don't want to use the word too often, but the mature folk, you can have a sort of like festival situation, but in the comfort of a theater.
It's gonna be incredible. I've seen like the adverts for it and stuff like that, and it's like, wow, that's gonna be some gig, man.
Yeah.
All of you guys. I mean, the talent alone.
It is amazing. Yeah, it is special. I mean, you're talking about like Dennis Williams. I mean, these are like Grammy Award
winners. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Gwen Dickey. There's a friend of mine, a guy called Alan Glass, who, like our first Lighthouse Family record, and I think even the second, we wrote a lot with him, Alan Glass, and he knows a lot of these people. And I remember when I told him, I says, "Oh, they've come to me and asked if I wanted to be a part of this whole roster," and he was like, "Oh boy, you got to do it." And when I mentioned those names, because he knows
them.
He was like, boy, what are you kidding me? You've got to do that because he wants to come to that gig.
Of course, I'm sure. Yeah, catch up with old friends and stuff like that. Special. Well, I don't know where Peter is. There he is.
Yeah, Pete.
Back by popular demand. Sorry about that, gentlemen. At
Okay.
the most opportune moment, the internet it seems to be back on. So I'm assuming you guys caught up and chatted amongst yourselves. How are we?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. We've just been putting the world to rights.
Good, fair play. Okay, listen, a massive welcome, as I said before. Tunde, we've got lots to get into, but first and foremost, we were just chatting off air. So how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And like I was just saying there, you know, considering everything that's transpired over the last couple of years, I mean, I'm good. You know, thank God, fingers crossed, and long may it stay that way for everybody.
Well, you were saying that hopefully
Wow.
it looks like that the industry's coming back to some normality, and gigs can be doing that. Kev, welcome back to you. We feel like we haven't seen you for a long time. You had a busy weekend last week, but judging by the pictures and whatnot, it looked like a great weekend.
Oh, it was an absolute fantastic weekend. I went back to Nottingham. This is where me and Tunde met. I met Tunde at a gig. He was doing a gig in Nottingham.
Yeah.
And it's the first time I've been back for 23 years. Wow. So, yeah, I've done an evening with me on the Thursday. I've done things for Mr. Dawes channel and the football club on the Friday. I was guest of honor at the last home game against Swansea on the Saturday. Had a lovely meal with the people who organised it. Great people, Mr. Daw, Malcolm, all that, Lisa and Des. And then whisked down to London because I was doing the Everton and Arsenal games on the Sunday. So was a busy one.
Nice.
It was a busy one, a superb one as well, because I know from the messages that we've seen on social media, everyone in Nottingham was so happy to see you. A legend, a hero, wherever you go, Kev, which is absolutely brilliant.
I second that.
I just love the fact that whether it's Everton, Forest, yeah, exactly. Okay, so speaking of us getting together, Tunde, you got to be looking forward to September. Giants of Soul, where we were just saying some of the biggest names alongside yourself are going to be playing. It's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, very exciting. We were just talking about that. I'm looking forward to it because it's going to be the first time I find myself back on stage in 2 years. So, you know, you got to keep exercising and working on the old vocal cords to keep yourself fighting fit. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I like the the thing is, I started, when I think back, I mean, I was born in London, but when I was about 5, my dad passed away when I was about 5. So my mum took my sister and I, we went back to Nigeria, and that's how, so I grew up in Nigeria, went to boarding school there. But I remember from the age of about maybe 7 or 8, my mum enrolled me in the choir at the church. So I've been singing in the church from when I was a wee little thing. I've always loved singing. And you know, when you come from that sort of background as a church chorister singer, I never knew that I'd find myself involved in the music industry and working as a musician. But I like the idea of seeing myself as a soul singer because, that's my background.
Yeah.
And when I say that, because you got to be careful. Sometimes when I say soul singer or soul music, it's not just the type of music. What I mean is, I try and do everything that I do musically and everything from the soul, from the heart. So there are songs that you might not necessarily, like when I look at some of our songs, like Ocean Drive, is it a soul song? It's not your typical soul song, but the way I approach it, how we approach it, the type of songs we write, for me, it's purely soul. So when they approached us and the Giants of Soul thing, I was just like, oh my God, somebody sees me as a soul singer. It was so exciting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of the other artists.
Kev, the news
as well.
I've got to say, Kev, as well, it falls on my birthday, September the 8th.
Wow. Well, you know what, Pete? I'm sure you might not be able to attend, but hopefully you could get a stream of it, because you know what? If I can't attend, I'm definitely going to be watching that. There's some special artists on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Looking forward to it.
We should drag you over from Dubai, Pete. Make sure you come.
Look, Kev, put me up in Manchester. We'll sort something out. We can do it. We can make it happen. Birthday weekend, brilliant. Kev, it's another big weekend in the world of football. We saw Manchester City lose another extraordinary game in the Champions League. It was, but that elusive Champions League win goes on for Man City, doesn't it?
Yeah, Pete, it does. And you know what? People going to argue about what Pep Guardiola done, taking De Bruyne off and stuff like that. It's just not the competition at the moment for Man City. Man City have had ample chances to win it. You know, made a funny decision last season against Chelsea, not having the holding midfielder. For me, I think Manchester City without a striker, and I know it may sound crazy because they were ahead, but I think if they have a recognised striker, top quality striker, the game's over in the first leg, Pete. The game is over. But the fact of the matter is, Real Madrid keep coming back, and they have the history in the Champions League. And, you know, let's look at it. It was a crazy 5 minutes. Absolutely crazy 5 minutes for Man City to concede that like that. And then it goes to extra time, and then obviously they get the break with the penalty. And that man Benzema, he's got ice in his veins, hasn't he?
He's golden at the minute. He's absolutely golden. Absolutely incredible. Again, we'll touch Kevin a bit later on their weekend, because it's a must win for everyone, but more so Manchester City. Tunde, although we're going to stick with music, I'm going to ask you though, because you know, with your London and Nigerian heritage, there's got to be a team in there that you favour, is there?
Oh, okay. Now, let me put it this way. I'll watch football when I'm with my friends and we all hang out, you know, but I'm not a crazy, you know, I don't necessarily know who's at the top of the league, who's at the bottom. I know who I like when I see it, but I do get into it when I'm with my friends and we're watching a match. I have to say, please don't bash me over the head for this. I'm an Arsenal supporter, but Arsenal, but at the same time, Arsenal, you know, it's like, I don't know why this happens. It's like they'll take 2 steps forward and then fall back. And it seems to be a consistent thing. I don't know why. It's like they have the talent and the players, but it just always seems to be this like start, stop situation. Hopefully that will get better. But who do I favor? I love Liverpool.
Okay.
Tunde, come on.
You know, we're talking about, I just think as a team and specifically, I love Mane. I don't know, something about his, apart from the skill level, and just, you can tell he looks like a very disciplined person, but he also looks like the kind of person that's got, I don't know, there's something about his spirit that is just so nice. I mean, I never met him, I don't know, you know, but there's something about that guy that just says, oh, this is a nice soul. You know what I mean? This is a nice person.
Very humble. Very humble.
Dedicates himself to his sport. And it just, all of that spills out in his playing. And I mean, just to be in the right places at the right time, to be able to score those goals that he scores is amazing.
I've got to say, because I've had a lesson this week in from our Nigerian viewers that were fiercely excited about you being on the show. So I got a lesson this week in heritage, and they're telling me that because I read about it, and it was saying that a lot of your original melodies derive from the language, right? The Yoruba.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's funny. That it's interesting, because what tends to happen, like so I went to the University of Newcastle. I studied accountancy. It's a totally different field compared to music. But I knew I didn't want to be an accountant, to be honest with you. I just did that because of my parents. Every Nigerian watching this will know what I'm talking about. And what happened was when we started, I've always had a love for music, you know, always when I was in Newcastle, I was constantly buying records. Most of my friends actually were studying music or music technology. But when we started making, or I got involved in the sort of the creation of music, I found out that I had a natural knack for doing certain things like coming up with melodies. And a lot of the songs we wrote then, I remember being with Paul in the studio, we'd have long discussions about just life, what's it all about, and all these sort of things. These long, you know, we used to like say, you know, if you can imagine students just coming out of college, and I don't know, we were so naive. I used to believe that, well, you know, if we can just get the right job, if I just had £10,000, that would be it. I'll be set up for life. This was how we used to think, so naive. But I remember when we started making music, I just had a knack for coming up with melodies. And what I noticed was that a lot of the melodies that I'd come up with would spring out of because I speak Yoruba. As growing up in Nigeria, in Lagos, I mean, there are three main languages, probably more, but at the time, it was no, just three: Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo. So I spoke Yoruba, and a lot of the melodies I came out with, the foundation, nobody knew what I was doing. Even Paul didn't know, but it was like, I knew that it would spring out of like a phrase or a Nigerian, if I was thinking in that language, the melodies would come out in that form, and which was one of those things that tended to make our stuff unique. I remember bumping to a friend of mine. There was a song of which song of ours? I think it was "Loving Every Minute" or something.
Yeah.
And there's a bit in the bit that goes and at the end of the, is it "Loving Every Minute"? I can't remember the song. Anyway, so the end of the day, remember the days when we were close to the edge, stuff like that. And I know how I got that melody. It was because somewhere in the back of my head, I used to say a Nigerian phrase. And I remember bumping to a friend of mine one time and says, "Oh, that your song? I remember it sounds like you used to say, Ogumma Dede, Ogumma Dede, Ogumma Dede," which is like a name, a Nigerian name. And I said, "How did you know that?" He said, "Because it sounds like that." Amazing. I mean, obviously, over the years, you then learn how to do things properly and stuff. But I would say that I tap into that a lot. I think the advantage of being able to speak and understand in a different language kind of gives you a different perspective and a different take on how to do things.
Great song, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to touch on how that has affected possibly the greatest time for me growing up. Again, being in the Northeast was amazing. Speaking of amazing in the Northeast, it'll have to be something amazing for my lot, Newcastle, to go to Man City on Sunday, Kev, and get a result. However, I was out with my dad this morning, and he said, wouldn't it be typical of Newcastle United to go to Man City and put a spoke in the works?
Hey, listen, I don't want it to happen, Pete. You know I like Newcastle. But listen, I think Manchester City, they're going to be smart in Pete. They're not going to be happy. They've got, 4 games left. You know, for them not to win anything this season,
disaster,
will be a disaster for them. So I think they're going to really go for your throat. And you know what? Newcastle have done great, but it's flip-flop time for Newcastle. Just the next 2 games, Pete, or 3 games. Just because you got Arsenal soon. So just listen, flip-flop time. Just take it easy.
I don't think Eddie's going to have that, by the way.
No, he won't.
He won't. Okay, this is possibly the most important question of the day, Tunde. Speaking of Newcastle, now I'm fascinated to know, because I think, and it's not because of your fame, I'm sure I recognise you, and you worked in a bar in Newcastle, and I'm going to ask you which bar that was, because I'm guaranteed, and my family will guarantee, I've been in it.
Probably, yeah. I remember the bar. It was called President's.
Yes.
And it was down at the big market. You know, I kind of got a job as this is like last couple of years at college as a bartender. And, you know, so, you know, worked in that bar, learned how to pull the pints and all this sort of stuff. And I mean, if you know the big market, I'm not even sure. Somebody sent something to me recently. Who was it? Saying something about, I think they're revamping that particular bar, President's.
Okay.
I haven't been there in years, so I don't know what it looks like now. But yeah, I worked there for a couple of years, and that was they were fun times. You know, the Geordies, I mean, you've probably, Kev, you've been to Newcastle. I'm
Great
sure you've
people.
seen it. Yeah, great people. Amazing. And they're the only people I know who would go out in a t-shirt like this and a short skirt. And you know, the further up north you go, the colder it gets.
Yes.
It'll be freezing, but those girls and those guys are hard and tough as nails. So, but yeah, I worked there for a couple of years. It was a lot of fun. The one thing, I have to say one thing it did to me though, it put me off drinking. I mean, I don't drink alcohol now at all. And one of the reasons was because I remember when I worked at the bar, you'd come in and you'd see some of these people would come in earlier on in the night, looking lovely, all dolled up, everybody looking great. And by the end of the evening, some of them would be like crawling to pick up their bags and purses on the floor because they were so out of it, just being so hammered. And I remember I used to think, is that what it's like when you're drunk? And like, you know, so I just, it kind of put me off alcohol for a bit. And I haven't drunk in years and I don't miss it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And not to mention the crazy offers and prices that the likes of presidents had because it was the 90s and it was boom time. The football club was doing well. The city was going well. Big Market was on the map for people to come for stag do's and hen parties. But they used to have these crazy deals that if you went in there, and they were encouraging people to go in early. So Tunde's right. People would possibly start their night at 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
and you'd get treble gin and tonics for £1 at the start of the evening. So, absolutely crazy times. Okay, Kev, back to a few football matters. Second week in a row, Liverpool play ahead of Man City. It's simply win or bust. It's win or bust for both of them, really. But I mean, Liverpool literally can't afford not even a draw, can they?
Look, you know, Liverpool ain't my favourite team in the world, but for just this afternoon,
because they're playing
just this afternoon, because who they play today, Spurs. And we need a favour. The Arsenal need a favour off Liverpool today, and we need Liverpool to beat Spurs. It's going to be a tough game because you know what, Spurs. They've got firepower. That's one thing they do have. Harry Kane and Son, they've been incredible. So we need Liverpool to do the business. I think it's going to be a really tough, tight game. But, you know, Liverpool playing before City, Liverpool have to keep putting the pressure on City. They do. That's all they can do. So if they win, they go back to the top and you just never know.
Can you see, I mean, the one thing I would say, having watched Liverpool, is that they're, as you say quite rightly, they're a phenomenal team in every department. If there was one area I would look at, it's across the back, because they do play that high, you know, the high press. And what about you know, Messrs Son and Kane exploiting that? That could prove dangerous for Liverpool.
Yeah, it can prove dangerous. I think they drew 2 each, didn't they, earlier on in the season at Spurs. Tottenham know how to play against them, but Tottenham play a counter-attacking style. The problem that Spurs are going to have is that Liverpool press at Anfield. You know,
right?
The ground is going to be, the fans are going to be vociferous, obviously, and they're going to put Tottenham under a lot of pressure. If Tottenham could beat the press, Tottenham could have a good day. And that's what they're good at, releasing Son, releasing Kane, etc. But Liverpool know how to play against the Spurs side, and they trap you at Anfield. And if they can trap them, Pete, Spurs are in trouble.
Interesting. Definitely want to watch, and possibly one of the games of the weekend for me. Tunde, I was saying to you before we went live, or I tried to go live, that basically we've got a lot of our Nigerian viewers who are, what I've found in the last 18 months of presenting a show for them, is that they're just so passionate about everything they do, and their loyalty as well. And I just wanted to ask you, is that something that's reflected in your music and the tone of what you do?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think a topic like loyalty, like you mentioned, is kind of one of those, it's one of those spiritual lessons that you learn in life, I think. And I think loyalty can carry you. You never know where your loyalty is going to end up paying dividends. So it's always good to kind of, but I think for me, I come, like I say, growing up in Nigeria, and, generally, I think Africans generally do have a sort of spiritual take on things. There is a spiritual attitude about a lot of things that even in the names, like for instance, like my full name is Babatunde.
Yeah.
And I was born just after my grandfather on my father's side had passed away. So, I mean, Africans or Nigerians specifically believe in spiritual ideas like reincarnation, for instance. In fact, that's one of the reasons why they tend to have big families, because they believe, if the grandmother died, 2 years ago and they have a baby daughter now, they believe that's the grandmother coming back. So they tend to kind of have big families for that reason. So there is a spiritual idea, or these spiritual concepts, that is part of the culture. And I think loyalty is one of them. This loyalty even filters through into certain brands of things, that some brands take advantage of it. I remember growing up in Nigeria when I was back in those days, like there are certain brands of alcohol, for instance, like, and the Nigerians will know what I'm talking about here. Like there's one called Star Lager. There's another one called Gulda, which they're quite they're quite strong brands, but people still drink those things today. It's like, and Guinness and stuff like that. So I would say you can't go wrong if you have a Nigerian supporting you for whatever reason, because they will stay loyal. And I suppose for me, my loyalty is always to, like, I have an idea of the type of music I'd like to make. And to me, it doesn't matter. If somebody comes to me with a song that fits into how I see life and what I like, I have no problem working with that person and doing that song. And that's where my loyalty lies. It's like, I like to do stuff that has that soul thing about it and speaks truth, stuff that people can, for years to come, rely on and lean on to help them through the difficult times.
And also, I'd say that's probably reciprocated from the people of Newcastle, because they then took you as their own.
Absolutely.
From the album, the fact that it was mentioned in the song and in the album title as well. It's like, you know what, Tunde and Paul, that's it. We're gonna fly the flag for them as well. So 100%. A reciprocal deal.
100%. I mean, even the name Lighthouse Family comes out of Newcastle, because when we got our deal, the song that got us our record deal was a song called Ocean Drive, and that song, think about it, Ocean Drive. It's about a coastal ocean marine thing. And Newcastle being a coastal town, I remember, like there's the St. Mary's lighthouse. They're on the coast by the Whitley Bay and stuff. And we used to go to those places. So everything about Lighthouse Family, the name of the band, the songs we wrote, they come from that place. It was like, that's where it comes from. So the DNA of Newcastle is imprinted in everything Lighthouse Family does.
It's amazing. Absolutely brilliant and great times. And Kev, I was going to say to you before my internet rudely cut me off in my introduction, I had everything planned. It was all, I'd practiced it, and the best things, the best laid plans and all that. But I wanted to say, for someone like yourself who, we're pals on social media, but your music influence is massive. I mean, you are a soul man. The tunes that you put up for your followers and fans to share with. You're a massive music fan yourself, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I love music. Tunde mentioned some real spiritual stuff there, because you know what? There's music for everything. Where if you're going for a difficult time, you're going for a happy time, or you're just going for an indifferent time, music, music is a transporter. Absolutely. When you listen to music now, it will transport you back to time when you were younger. And you remember the people you're with, you remember the place. Tunde could put a tune on, Pete, and you'll go back to Presidents. I'll tell you that much. That's how special music is. It really does have a massive influence on me. So not only soul, reggae, all different music, I just love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I agree. I second that. And I mean, just to add to that, because you're 100%. I mean, this is the thing. When you first start doing these things, and even what you do now, you do not really know how far what you're doing. It might look like you're just entertaining, talking about football and playing with stuff like that, but there's a lot more that's happening, and you do not know how what you do, as long as it comes from the heart and the intention is right, and there's there's fun about it. You have fun, and sometimes you rib each other, whatever, but like you're having fun. There's a spiritual good intent about it. You just don't know how far that's going to reach and who it's going to touch. So it just goes to show, like, and you're right, I agree with you. Like music, it's one of the things I learned very earlier on when we started, with Lighthouse Family. After a while, just some of the things I observed happening, that like, you sit in the studio, you write a song, you put your heart into it. But then once you've done it and that stuff goes out, it's not yours anymore. It doesn't belong to you anymore. You've got to learn to kind of have a healthy distance and be detached, because that song, it's like a child. It becomes its own thing. It's got a life of its own. It goes out there. It helps whoever it needs to help. People rely on it for their own reasons. And that's got, in a strange kind of way, it's got nothing to do with you anymore. I'm happy and grateful that it came through us, but it's like, it's amazing to watch. Somebody told me a story. I did an interview yesterday. I just want to share this quick story. Just like amazing story. And he was telling me the story. So somebody told him a story that, like, they used to they loved Lighthouse Family, listen to the songs, and they specifically liked this radio station. And this guy, I think his name, the radio DJ, was Dave Monk, BBC Radio. And he said, so years later, it turned out that the woman who was a big Lighthouse Family fan, and her family, she brought a family into it as well. They all loved Lighthouse Family. She got sick, and the night she passed away, she was at the hospital, really sick, about to pass away. And they said at the moment she took her last breath, the radio station that was on in the hospital started playing Lifted. That's got nothing to do with me. He just told me this story a couple of days ago. And it just goes to show, it's like you do this stuff, it goes out, but it's got a life of its own. It's almost like there's a bigger hand up there that uses us as individuals through what we do to uplift other people. And it's just such a beautiful thing when you're able to stand back and watch it happen. And you can't really take credit for it, but it's a beautiful thing to sort of observe.
Yeah. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And you're both right, gentlemen, both right, because it doesn't matter where you are in the world or what's happening. If you hear a song, it does transport you back. Luckily, Tunde, a lot of your music transports me back home, being in Dubai now. In fact, I think after the show, I'm going to have a wander down memory lane myself. Absolutely incredible. Kev, a massive story coming out of Manchester today in your neighbourhood is that Manchester City could look to end Paul Pogba's Manchester United nightmare. Is that typical City? They've got history of that, haven't they?
Yeah, they have got history of that. And you know what, Pete? It wouldn't surprise me, because this Champions League is proving to be a difficult one for them. And Paul Pogba is world class, whether people want to admit it or not. A lot of people are kind of against him, saying he hasn't really done it at Manchester United. He's a World Cup winner. He's world class. He is world class. And if you could pick him up for nothing, Pete, off your rivals, what a bit of business. Obviously, it'll split Manchester again, wouldn't it? That would. But Manchester City, they've got history of doing it, Pete, and you could see him fitting right into their squad.
Well, do you think there's legs in that? I mean, obviously we know it happened with Tevez, but from a footballing perspective, is it a case of the wrong player at the wrong time and the wrong side? Because as you've just said, he's one of the world's best, isn't he? Surely it can't be just his fault that it's not working out.
Hey, listen, nothing's worked at Manchester United. Let's be honest. What we're thinking should be a title challenge as petered out into, really, it's the Ronaldo show. Because without Ronaldo, they'd do nothing. I think Paul Pogba is just a victim of the way Manchester United are run right now. It hasn't been great. Look, he's been there a good few years now, Pete, hasn't he? He's been there a good few years. And, he's shown some good form, but the team hasn't been right. And when the team isn't right, he's going to struggle. But the great thing is, Pete, he's seen his contract out. He's getting to the end of his contract and he's a free. So we can go where he wants. Now, Manchester City, you know, they're in the market for top players. That's one thing they are. And the fact that they got beat by Real Madrid this week, I could see Pep Guardiola restocking the shelves big time.
One to watch, definitely. Speaking of one to watch, Tunde, I've got to sort of put you on the spot and ask you. I mean, obviously, everything's geared around September, and this fantastic. Really looking forward to it. But what else is in the pipeline for you? Is there any projects that you can share with us, or something that watch this space?
Yeah, sure. So there's the stuff coming up in September that you mentioned. There's a Rewind Festival as well, which I think just for that I'm doing that. I think I've got 2 slots there for like 2 separate days. I know Lighthouse Family, and that's just me, that's Tunde, and the Giants of Soul is just Tunde as well. There's a Lighthouse Family Mouth of the Tyne festival that we're doing as well. That's coming up. But I've also got, I mean, years ago, this was before we made this last Lighthouse Family record that we made. I went off to Brooklyn and made another record with Mike Peden, who had produced our first 2 Lighthouse Family albums. So I had that record; it was made, ready to go. And then they came up and says, "Oh, Lighthouse Family, we want you to make another Lighthouse Family record." So I parked that record. It's just been sitting there for like quite a number of years. So I've got some plans to do something with that record. Now we've actually got a few. I don't want to talk too much because I don't want to spoil the surprise. But we've got a few artists featuring on it. So hopefully over the next few months we'll be releasing stuff and then put that record out. And then I've got some other plans for this. The first record I made, my first solo record I made with Sony BMG. Yeah. And I don't know what happened somehow, and I didn't find out about this till years later. Somehow they didn't put that record on the streaming services like Spotify, Apple Music. So my manager went back and surprise, surprise, Sony was so gracious that they agreed to give me the masters for that record, but I've got the masters for that record.
Wow.
So I can do, it's amazing. Whoa. I mean, you hear all these stories, Prince fighting and everything to own their masters. I've got the masters for my first solo, which I think, by the way, is probably one of the best records I've made.
Amazing.
I got that back. So we've got plans to do some stuff with that. So watch this space.
Major plans, I would imagine. Unbelievable, fantastic, fascinating. Really, really looking for Kev. I'm going to book a flight after this. I'm coming to stay with you September the 8th, and we're going to
Giants of Soul.
So that's what we're doing. Brilliant stuff. Okay, it's that time of the week, Kev and Tunde, because you're a guest. Unfortunately, you do get embroiled in our predictions challenge.
Right.
Kev's going to lead the way and show you, but I want to congratulate Andrew Burgess, who won last week. Big Everton fan. He had a massive 6-point total, so he won the hot sauce, the batch of Danny Kwang's hot sauce. So everyone's going crazy, Tunde, for this DK hot sauce, which kindly sponsors our predictions section. Today's games, we've got Brighton Man United, we've got Liverpool and Spurs, we've got Arsenal Leeds, Leicester Everton, and of course we've got Manchester City and Newcastle. In the house today from our viewers, we've got Andrew Burgess, who's obviously looking to stock up. We've got Barry Robson from Sunderland. I want to give a big shout out to all the Sunderland fans. They had a massive win last night in the first leg of their playoff semi-final. A full house, Kev, at the Stadium of Light.
Incredible.
Really showing what,
incredible.
We've always said, all joking aside, that if Sunderland have a great team and a big occasion, they're there. It's the Northeast in general. So Barry's in the house. Danny also, Samantha, and Lee Cosgrove from Manchester. Kev, I'd like you to lead the way today. So give us a score prediction for Brighton, Manchester United.
I think this is going to go Brighton 1, Man United 2.
Okay, making his debut, Hollywood Ball's predictions debut. Tunde, what can you give us for a score for Brighton, Man United?
Okay, I'm gonna, and I'm just saying this because I've got some friends that live in Brighton. So I'm just gonna say Brighton 2, Man United 1.
Brighton 2, Man United. No, let me just stop it right there and tell you, Tunde, a story that we've had 3 or 4 guests on who profess to know nothing about football. And Kev, what happens?
They win. They win all the time.
Okay. I've got Brighton 2, Man United 0. Andrew Burgess has got 2-1 to Manchester United. Barry's got a 2-2 draw. What else have we got in there? Samantha's got 1-1. Lee Cosgrove has gone 3-1 to his beloved Manchester United as well. Okay, next up, Kev, it's Liverpool Spurs.
Look, I've got 3-1 Liverpool.
Okay, Tunde, give us a score for Liverpool and Spurs.
Well, I agree with what Kev said earlier on. Anything that Spurs can do to help Arsenal, I'm up for it. So I'm going to say Spurs 2, Liverpool 1.
No,
okay.
It's Liverpool to do us a favour.
Oh, is it Liverpool to do us a favour?
Yeah, by beating them.
Oh, I reversed the score there.
I like that. The first reversal, Pete. I like it.
Yes, I reversed the score.
It's a first reversal.
Yeah, I reverse it.
2-1. Tunde, yeah?
2-1, yes.
2-1 Liverpool.
Okay. I've got 3-1 to Liverpool. Andrew's got 2-0 to Liverpool. Barry's got 3-0 to Liverpool. Danny's got 2-1 to Liverpool, his team, of course. And Samantha, her beloved Liverpool, she's gone 3-2 to the Redmen. Lee Cosgrove's got a 2-2 draw. Okay, next up, Kev, Super Kev, it's Arsenal Leeds. Need a big result today. Or tomorrow.
Need a big result. I'm going 3-0 Arsenal.
3-0 to Arsenal. Tunde.
Leeds.
Yeah, I like I said, I'm an Arsenal man. You know, I own up to that. I love Arsenal. I just want them to just, get
do
a bit
it
more. Yeah, do it. So I'll say 3-0 to Arsenal.
Yeah,
3-0 to the Arsenal. I've gone 2-0 to the Arsenal. Andrew's taken 3-1. Barry's taken 2s apiece. Danny's taken 2-0 to Arsenal. Samantha has as well. Lee Cosgrove's taken 2-1 to Leeds, Man United fan. So he's obviously hoping for.
He still thinks he's going to get top 4.
I think he's dreaming. So much so he's not watching today. He's gone to the cinema. He's probably better off there.
Yeah.
Better chance of finding 3 points in the cinema, I think. Okay. Kev, Leicester, Everton. 2 of your old clubs, by the way. You have to be careful.
Pete,
you have to score draw here.
Pete, and here's Everton, for me, they're going to win the first away game since August. 2-1.
Okay.
2-1 Everton.
Big shout. Tunde, Leicester, Everton for you.
Well, I have to say, I know Ndidi. Like, I used to, a friend of mine that actually brought him all the way from Nigeria. I remember we used to go and watch him play. I think it was in the Algarve, like Spain and stuff like that. This was before, he's a sweet kid, a sweet guy, and he's a great player. So for me, it's like Leicester. It has to be. So I'll say 2-0 to Leicester.
2-0 to Leicester. A quick hi to Thomason. Thomason says, hi, Kev. He saw you last week on Super Sport.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'm back next week. I'll be back on Sunday for the Everton game, I think, Thomason. So look out for me.
Okay, Leicester, Everton. I've gone for a 1-1 draw. Andrew Burgess has taken his beloved Toffees to win 1-0. Okay, Barry's gone 2-0 to Leicester. 2-1 to Everton for Danny. 1-0 to Leicester for Samantha, and 2-1 to Everton from Lee. So a right mixed bag in there. Okay, calculators and abacuses at the ready for the last game. Manchester City, Kev, against Newcastle United.
Yeah, Pete, I'm going to go for 3-0. I just think City are going to have the bit between their teeth.
Bruno getting 2.
Hey, oi. Hey, what, 2 yellow cards?
2 corners, I think. 2 corners.
Yeah, no, I think City are going to do Newcastle 3-0, Pete.
Okay, Tunde. It's a tough one to ask, isn't it? But Manchester City, Newcastle.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Newcastle, but it's Man City at the moment, especially coming off the back of what happened to them the other day. They're probably going to be ferocious. So 2-0, I'd say.
Okay, I've gone 1-1, more in good hope than anything else. Andrew's taken 3-0. Now, I don't even have to tell you who Andrew's taken 3-0. Now, Barry Robson, who I've just congratulated about Sunderland, massive Sunderland fan, season ticket holder, all his family are. He's taken Man City 7, Newcastle 0. Cheers, Barry. 3. Danny's taken 3-1 to City. Samantha's taken 4-0 to City. And Lee Cosgrove, Manchester United never picks Manchester City, has taken 4-1 to Manchester City. So that tells me all sorts of trouble that Newcastle are going to be in when they round the weekend off. Brilliant. What a great way to round the show off. Absolutely fantastic to have Tunde with us.
Thank you.
I'm literally going to jump off this show, book my flights to Manchester. Kev, you better get the spare room ready, and we'll go off.
It's ready and waiting for you, Pete.
Absolutely.
Tunde, so all we want to do is thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show today.
Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant.
Pleasure's mine. I've really enjoyed it. I've had a great time. Kev, you know me, mate. I'm always a big fan.
Well, I'll reach out to you. I'll reach out to you.
Please do
on social and stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
No problem. Let's get that record with you. You've got your masters. Let's get it popping.
There's stuff going on. I think
Brilliant.
people are going to like it. Yeah,
love
There's
that
stuff going on.
Great stuff. Tunde Baiyewu, everyone, absolute legend, as is Super Kevin Campbell. Listen, whoever your team is this weekend, best of luck to you. We'll join us again next Saturday for Soccer Saturday with me, Geordie Peter Redding, him, Super Kevin Campbell on Hollywood Balls Live.